they're seeking to be let into this country. They're demanding it, actually. The president says he dislikes that idea, so of course he's being called a white supremacist.
A migrant army. Listen to that phrasing there. This is an army. It speaks to an invasion of brown people, right, from Central America. This is the implication there.
Easter wouldn't be Easter without a little brown scare. Right after his Happy Easter tweet, Donald Trump went right after immigrants.
The first guy, by the way, was Jim Scudo, who works at CNN, who was a political appointee for Barack Obama, now pretending to be a journalist. It's too much. Mark Stein joins us tonight. So, Mark, I guess the point that the left is making right now is that we have no right, under any circumstances, to deny people entry when they come here. Period. Doesn't matter who they are, where they're from, what skills they have. It doesn't matter. We have to let them in. Is that the position?
Yeah, basically. And kind of what's wacky about this to me, Tucker, as I understand it, basically half the illegal immigrant population, including these 1,100 people or whatever it will be up to by the time they actually hit the Rio Grande, about half the illegals in this country came here since 9/11. In other words, they broke into a country that's supposedly on orange alert. We're told we're on an orange alert. If law-abiding persons go to an American airport, they're barked at all the time. Be advised, the security coding for today is such and such. And yet at the same time, 1,100 people have announced they're just going to walk into the country, and the United States government throws up its hands and says there's nothing we can do to stop them. Well, in that case, what the hell is the point of Orange Alert? Why are 300 million law-abiding Americans shuffling shoeless through their airports like a bunch of, like a bovine herd? If any of the 6.5 billion people who aren't American around the planet can just walk across the Rio Grande or take a flat-bottom boat and walk into the country. What's the point of Orange Alert?
What's the point of a government, actually? Because the point is that we're the problem. As one of our guests earlier told us, as Jim Scudo or whatever his name is on CNN told us, we're the problem, actually. These are the virtuous ones trying to get in. We're the impediment to their progress. Shut up, America, and obey.
And you know, he probably doesn't know it. There was a French novel published 45 years ago by Jean Raspail, The Camp of the Saints. A lot of people on the left don't like it. But it actually predicted what's happening before our eyes. A bunch of people got in a ship at India and sailed for the south of France in this novel. And all the media commented, like the CNN guy you just quoted, what's the big deal about this? We are the ones, we are the sinful ones. We are the ones with the stain of all the wicked isms on our past. Imperialism, colonialism, racism. These people are the virtuous ones. Let them in and they will redeem us.
Do you ever get the impression you've been softened up for this exact moment, that people have been telling you to shut up and obey and that you have no moral standard and you're not allowed to give your opinion? Basically, so we get to the moment where you can just be told to step aside and let people come in your place.
I think that's largely what it is, in fact. And that's why I always pay great attention to the left's assault on language. Someone just said, you know, those of us who oppose this are anti-immigrant. Actually, no, I'm an immigrant. Yeah. It's a rather boring thing to be because it involves going to government offices and filling in paperwork. But the left has appropriated that term, so it now effectively means an army of people who don't bother with paperwork, who simply, as your first guest said, simply from being in poor, impoverished countries whose resources the United States has pillaged, supposedly, they have the virtuous right to just walk in to the country.
So why should we care that a statue to President William McKinley, a victim of gun violence, by the way, is about to be torn down in Northern California? It feels like one of those things that's worth paying attention to. Why is it?
Well, I think it's worth paying attention to because it shows that when you hand the left a victory, they move on to the next thing. Rich Lowry, the editor of National Review, said on Fox News last year, he said he didn't feel terribly excited about defending Robert E. Lee and Jefferson Davis, but you can bet your bottom dollar that if they come after Washington and Lincoln, he'll be right there defending those guys. Well, they're now actually tearing down statues of American presidents, of a guy who took a bullet for his country. Once you hand them the first victory, they simply move on to the next ones. And you know what's interesting to me, Tucker? Obama, when he was talking about what he looked for in his judges, said the quality of empathy. Empathy requires us to be able to understand human beings in the age in which they lived. You're not tearing down a statue of McKinley. Right. You're tearing down the representation of all the Americans who voted for him, agreed with him, supported him. You're in fact disowning your own history and saying, I'm just going to live in a hyper-present tense, disconnected from my past.
That is exact, and I knew you could explain it better than anyone I've ever met, and that is exactly right. That's exactly what bothered me about it. Thank you for articulating that. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Tucker.
See you.